going to be sharing. What is today all about? Well, let's talk about what today is all about, celebrating our sister friends, because we are in the beginning of March, which is Women's History Month. I am celebrating my sister girls all month long. As a matter of fact, you may have seen I made a post last week, was for our dear sister Phyllis Silver. She's also my first cousin. Beautiful. I've always thought she was so beautiful. I've always looked up to her. Have you guys ever had a cousin that you just really looked up to and wanted to follow around all the time? I got two. So one on my mother's side, Phyllis, and then the other one on my dad's side. You guys know how me and my dad roll. We had a love, hate, hate, hate when I was growing up relationship. But I was very close. His brother's daughters and I are actually more like sisters than cousins. And so the one on my mom's side is Phyllis. The one on my dad's side is Nene. I call her Nene, but her name's Alexandria. She may be popping in here, so I probably don't need to call her by her nickname. But guys, we got somebody that we looked up to, someone that we really thought a lot of, somebody that we admired. And so this month is the month to celebrate them. Joyce Meyer said something really, really important one time. Hi there, Sheree, I see you. Thanks for popping in. You're going to enjoy this. Stick with it. She said something, I was listening to one of her snippets of her messages, and she said that if you think something good about somebody or something nice about them, what you need to do is tell them, because they can't read your mind. You need to let them know what you think of them. And Diana, I'm really so absolutely excited about how you have taken the leap of faith and just stepped out and did the thing, girl. You stepped out and did it. So we're through with the formal welcomes. What I want to do versus reading your bio, because I did place that in the actual link and in the comments for people to read. I want to start this off, Diana, by you telling us, who is Diana? Just tell us who you are, a little bit about you, and maybe what led you to where you are. So first question, who is Diana?
Well, honestly, the best way to describe me is I'm a survivor. I mean, that's the best way to describe it, because I actually almost didn't come into the world.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that's for another book that I'm in the works of writing right now. But basically, I'm a survivor. I'm a wife. I'm a mom, and I try to be the best friend that I can be. And as far as what led me to write this book, it was actually a longtime friend of mine that suggested that my Facebook posts are really inspirational, and she said that I should put it into a book. And so, yeah, so that's how that started.
Wow, we're going to get to talk about that in details a little bit. I'm going to tell you what I remember about Diana. Diana, now what's the proper word, Diana? I majored in English, so please help me. It's not flutist, is it?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can call flutist or flautist.
A
It
flautist.
depends.
I thought so. I thought so. I thought it was flautist. So she plays the flute. And I remember we used to actually attend the same church when she was here locally in Virginia, and she would stand up there with such finesse. I always admired that. Now, what you don't know, Diana, is that when I was in elementary school, I played the flute.
Really? I
The
didn't
only
know
song I
that.
know is Hot Cross Buns. So I actually still have my flute. It's that one you buy from school. That's the plastic like one. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about? Your beginners flute. So yeah, I still have mine in my trunk. Amazing. I bet you I still remember how to play that song. Only one I know, but I really admired her for her level of um, sincerity that shines through you all the time, Diana. And also, you have this truth, this thing about you that I know that when I have a conversation with you, I'm going to get realness and truth. And I've been watching her for some time. Hi there, Amanda. I've been watching her some time. Even on IG, she posts different videos. This sister girl just comes out. She's transparent. She just says it like it is. She's very transparent. She has nothing, absolutely nothing to hide. I believe that whatever lessons she's about to share with us that led to her doing this great work is going to show us the importance, and not just about the power of our words, which is what this segment is about, but is going to share with us a little bit about the importance of transparency. I think we're going to learn a lot from her today on that. So without further ado, let's jump right in here. I hope you guys will stay with me. Hello to everyone. We see we have Amanda, we have Cassie, we have Tarj. I thought I saw Sheree, and I'm sure that we may have some other people popping in there that I've left off. Please don't charge it to my head, my heart, charge it to my head, because I'm doing a lot of multitasking. But we just want to have a little chat with Diana, talk a little bit more about what God has led her to do. Ladies, it's so important that you understand when God gives it to you to do it, no matter what's going on in our lives, it's not an excuse to lay it down. That's a lesson I'm learning right now. So for those of you who are just joining, I am Jacqueline Owensby with Women in Need of Empowerment. We are talking today about the power of words. We're going to be talking a lot about Diana's book, and she's going to break that down for us today and just give us some snippets. If you have not gone to check her book out, it is on Amazon now. And you can go there and you can get all the details and information you want about her wonderful book. It's on Amazon, and actually it's live for ordering. Am I right, Diana?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay, very good. Also, if you stick with us to the end, we're going to have a drawing. And in that drawing, what we're going to do is we're going to give away one of these wonderful works that Diana has done. The title is Finding God and Wisdom in Social Media, Facebook Lessons about God and Life. So, Diana, let's get busy. Let's start talking a little bit here. You've told us a little bit about you, but what I want you to do now is briefly describe something that led you to doing this work. What was it that gave you the oomph and the motivation to start doing this work?
Well, I guess what started with me writing posts on Facebook. Basically, I just went over the everything that's happened in my life, and
Mhm.
it was actually a really crazy, unexpected event that occurred that just threw everything off and everything. But then I realized that there's so many lessons that come from the things that we go through in life. It's like a lot of stuff that happened. It was really devastating, and I was thinking it for a while, and then I was like, wait a minute. Now I know that because I went through this is a lesson and everything. And I'd realized that everything we go through, it's not always an accident. I mean, there are things that shouldn't have happened, but there are
Mhm.
lessons behind it. And if we look at the lessons,
Mhm.
we can actually share those lessons with other people who may be going through the same thing or are about to go through the same thing.
Mhm. So in your book, I got to look at some of the snippets there, and they were good, by the way. What I want you to
Thanks.
do is, I just want to ask, is there any particular lesson learned that you would like to share today that you feel would either benefit the women watching or draw them in to actually going to check this wonderful work out? Can you give us one of those life's lessons that you learned?
It's ironic because I actually have my book on me. Yeah, and yeah, honestly, it's so much. It's really hard to pick just one, but think I'd have to say that one of my favorite snippets was something I wrote last year. It was about lessons in marriage, and it's actually much further in my book. But yeah, basically, I thought about everything that my husband and Andrew and I went through, 18 years of marriage, and there were so
Mm-hmm,
many lessons we'd
mm-hmm,
learned. And these were lessons that we learned the hard way, lessons that we learned because nobody told us stuff ahead of time. And that's actually that I think that was probably the biggest motivation.
wow, really? So it was
Hmm.
kind of like hands-on learning?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because yeah, yeah, because the reality is a lot of the lessons that I've learned that's written in this book is because nobody warned me ahead of time of what could happen, and there are things that Andrew and I honestly had to learn through life,
Uh-huh.
and we were kind of like, okay, why didn't somebody tell us this sooner if we had known ahead of time? And so that's when I started writing stuff on Facebook.
Right. And I'm gonna tell you, when I first went and looked at the work, I'm gonna tell you, I just said, this is something that it was ingenious, a no-brainer. You took the lessons that you learned and you combined them. And some of the things that you talked about in particular are personable, but we can glean from that. How can we grow as women and be better in our own lives? Well, pick up a book. I'm really big on reading. Pick up a book. I want you to tell us just briefly, tell us what motivated you, besides the fact that you love to write, you love to speak, you love to share, you love to see people set free and delivered. I can tell when you're sharing, you're coming from that place. What really deep down motivated you, besides your natural talent? What motivated you to really want to get this book published? What was your main motivation, even just from the standpoint of being a writer, just really getting the book done and authoring your first book. This is your first book, correct?
Yes.
Look at there. What motivated you to step out and do that?
Well, actually, it was my longtime friend Tara from high school. Yeah, there was one day I had written a post and she said, Dinah, your posts are super inspirational. They're helping so many people. You should turn it into a book. And
Right,
then, ironically, I think a few months later, you had offered the writer's workshop,
right.
yeah, course, and I just figured, hey, why not? So
And then
that was my first interested one.
right, and then you took that and you actually ran with it. We did a writer's workshop on it was the end of last year, end of summer last year sometime. And we got to create and outline our entire book in 3 days, which was outstanding, absolutely phenomenal. And actually, you're not the only one. There are three who were in that course, three women who have already began works or nearly finished it or finished it and published it like Diana. Diana, I want to take a moment, if you don't mind, and it won't put you on the spot. I'm
That's
looking at
okay.
your book right now, and I want to take a moment just to kind of read one of the uh, examples, the learning lessons that you have there. And it's sort of like this one, it reads Facebook wisdom, advice, and encouragement. And I'm reading this in the date, it's dated 4/28/2013. So guys, she goes back over an entire span of the last, how many years was it?
Um, I think the first lesson started in maybe 2011, I guess,
Wow, that
and
is
up until
absolutely,
2021.
wow, that took some work. That took some work and research. I'm going to read this that's dated 4/28/2013. The reality is the supernatural world is just as real as our world, possibly even more. Behind a lot of bad deeds is usually an evil spirit influencing somebody. Granted, not every terrible thing we do is because of the enemy, but a lot of times it's usually these one of his crones is whispering stuff in our ear. It's up to us on whether we listen. In addition, we need to be very careful with what we allow into our spirit, into our homes. I thought that last line there, we need to be very careful what we allow in our spirit, through our portals, what we allow in our homes. You want to speak to that?
Oh, yes, that actually was inspired because of what happened when I was growing up. Because my parents, they unknowingly opened up a lot of doors to the enemy and didn't know it. And going further back, I discovered that my grandparents, great grandparents, they made decisions that affected not just their lives, but affected everybody, and a lot of stuff that they did was passed down. And
Mhm.
with the portal, unfortunately, it was my mom that accidentally opened it up. There were some movies and TV shows that she allowed me to watch, and she didn't realize that it was going to open up a door because, I mean, obviously, I was a kid, so I didn't know anything about spirit realm. But then as I got older, there were certain behaviors that I got engaged in, certain
Right,
stuff that I did,
right.
and after I started getting free and whatnot, I realized that as parents and just as people in general, we got to be very careful with what we allow our kids to watch, what we watch, and who we hang out with.
Right.
It's very serious.
Yeah.
And after having, and basically, I'm not gonna lie, the enemy really did a number on me throughout most of my life, and
Mm.
it took a long time to get free. And there are still some things I'm still getting free from, but that's basically the motivation.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. The power of our words, that alone should cause us to stop in our tracks because words have power. We know that because this is how our Father God created things. I mean, He spoke a word and it came into existence. And so, if He spoke a word and things came into existence, and we are created in His image, then we have that same power within us, right? So our words do have power. The things that we expose ourselves to, and I'm hearing you say these things were from when you were young, and
Hmm.
it did not just end there, it carried over. But this is what I'm also hearing. It caused you to have a level of discernment and sensitivity to these things where you were able to create an entirely new world for your child.
Hmm.
You were able to create a brand new legacy for your family, and you were able to create an atmosphere where those generational curses have been broken and severed, and you no longer have to be bound by those. Did you guys get that? You no longer have to be bound by that. No longer. And so our words have power indeed. Even all throughout scripture, we can find examples of how powerful our words are. I want you to, if you don't mind, Diana, and I know I'm going a little deeper, but if you could briefly share your biggest obstacle, the biggest obstacle that you had when not only just getting this work done and published. That, hey, we all know that there were obstacles with that. But on maybe a personal note, what was the biggest obstacle that you were faced with?
I guess it was finding time because in addition to being a wife and a mother, I also work full time as a phlebotomist, and it is oh my goodness, it is busy. It's so busy, and like you can't believe.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
finding the time. And so did you find that you had to set a specific time and place? What formula worked for you? Because for a lot of writers, many of them tell me the only time, especially if they have careers outside of the home, and they have families, they find that the wee hours of the morning, that 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. time period works for them. Now, doesn't really work for me. What works for me is
Mm-mm.
late night. I can stay up all night and get something done, go get a few hours sleep and head out into my day. Now, ladies, that's not wise to keep that type of routine. I'm just saying what
Oh,
works for me is when I know everyone is quiet and the house is completely still. If I get up at 4 a.m., my grandson's going to get up at 4 a.m. So it's sort of like what's going to work for me. What worked for you?
the weekends actually work best for me. Yeah, because I wanted to try to do stuff in the evenings, but honestly, after I get off work, and if work has been slammed, if
Yeah,
it's been super stressful,
yeah,
if it's super bad,
yeah.
the last thing I really want to do is write. I mean, I'll write in my personal journal, but as far as doing my actual writing, the weekends work best for me. Like Saturdays are my best days.
Okay, okay. Now that requires discipline because when the weekend comes, I actually don't want to do anything. But what I have found that I have since school started and I teach reading. Since school started, I have been finding myself doing a lot more on the weekend. So I can totally agree with you on that. Now I want to ask you if there was a message that you wanted to really send and really pack a punch to the women or to anyone who may see this video regarding your book. What is the primary message that you want the readers to glean from the book?
The basically, well, with social media, I mean, obviously these posts came from social media,
Mhm.
for me writing on social media and
Right.
everything. But like I had said before, what really did it was I had something crazy happen on social media many years back,
Mm.
and that led to me starting to read and everything,
Hmm.
write everything. And I've learned that the biggest thing is social media. It's not bad in itself.
Right.
Yeah, it's just how you use it. And honestly, when I first got social media, I used it to stay in touch with people, that I was close to at the time. But then when everything pretty much fell apart and whatnot, and then stuff started happening, honestly, I was using social media as a journal, so to speak.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Do I have time to talk a little bit
You
about
should
what
get,
happened?
go ahead and share. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so because so at the time I was living in Nebraska for many years. That's where I'm from.
Hmm.
And Andrew, my husband, he's active duty Air Force, and we found out that we were going to be PCSing to Japan in 2007.
Okay.
And when we had gone overseas, there a lot of people didn't know, but I was actually suffering from PTSD because
Okay.
in that year, my older sister had passed away,
Mm.
and in that same year, I was also raped by a guy friend, and just 8 months before my sister died, I was raped by another guy friend in 2006.
Mm.
And so in the beginning, when I had social media, initially I was just showing pictures of Japan and stuff, but then I started having breakdowns, panic attacks, and
Mhm.
I thought that sent the people on my list at the time, because I'd known them for so many years, and I thought that they were great friends. I thought it was safe for me to talk about how I was feeling, which I found out later that you really got to be careful with what you share on social
Yeah.
media because I found out because in 2009, uh, long story short, somebody ended up making a really rude remark,
Mhm.
very disrespectful, very
Mhm.
insensitive, and nobody was saying anything to this individual. So I did it in a very unorthodox, very immature, very classless way, and it was in private, but it was made public, and it was then the very same people who had said that they would always have my back and this, that, and other. They were saying, you know what, here's the stuff you write, it makes me uncomfortable. You know, we think you're crazy and this, that, and the other. And they were vicious rumors that spread that, to this day, there's still some people that probably still believe stuff. But afterwards, I was in a really dark place for a really long time because these were relationships that spanned 10 years. I mean, in my wedding, with me when Andrew was like deployed and all this other stuff, all of a sudden the 180 happened, the mask dropped off. And so for a while I was careful about what I was sharing on Facebook, but then I'm like, you know what? Everything that I went through, even that smear campaign, everything from way back, honestly, I'd realized that the reason why I was so affected by so many things was because of the fact that growing up, there were certain things that my family didn't tell me.
Right.
There were things that I didn't know. And my mom, when she was still living, she had said that some of the stuff that I went through that was devastating to me as a grown up, she said that technically I should have gone through it as a child and everything, but she also had to admit that there were things that she herself didn't know and that she actually hid me from the world, so to speak. So
Right.
a lot of stuff that happened, that should have been like, okay, that stinks.
Hmm.
Life goes on. It literally crippled me to the
Right.
point where, yeah, I mean, honestly, and to be transparent, that smear campaign that happened, it actually almost drove me to suicide.
Mm.
I mean, that's just how serious that whole thing
Right.
was. I mean,
Right.
when Adrian and I found out who was behind it
Hmm.
and everything, I mean, I literally wanted to die in that moment.
Right.
But yeah, so 2010 was really, really rough. 2000, that was the end of 2009, 2010, that thing I was just trying to rebuild, trying to understand.
Right.
But then 2011, with that first inspirational post, thankfully God was good because in Japan, I mean, I lost the people in Nebraska, but the people in Japan, they had met me at my absolute worst. They helped me through.
Right.
They reminded me, they were like, that what the enemy meant for evil, God turns it around for good. And that's when I started really looking at my life as a whole.
Mhm.
Everything that I'd gone through, not just that smear campaign, not just the
Right.
rapes, not just everything else, but even stuff that happened within my own family.
Hmm.
I'd realized that there were lessons in all that.
Right.
And so
So
that's
I hear
when
a
I
lot.
started writing.
I hear a lot of nuggets here, and I want to point out too. One, you need to talk to somebody, but it needs to be the right somebody.
Oh yeah.
That's one. And two, understanding the power of God for healing, because you look and sound like you have overcome, and that healing has taken place in your heart. And I even remember some private conversations that we've had, and how you would talk about what you've been through. But then as you transition through the conversation, you would talk about, but God did this or God did that for me. And the truth of the matter is this, the message for everybody here today is that if God can do it for Diana, guess what? He can do it for me. He can do it for you. When you're in the process, it does not feel good. But one thing I
Mm-mm.
want us to remember is the power of our words. It carries a lot of weight. And not only the power of our words, that our words lead to action. And it can either help that person or hurt them. And we've probably, as women, been on both sides of the spectrum there. We've been the one to receive the hurtful words. And if you've been one of those women that have received words that have just made you feel like you just want to crumble, I want you to type that in the text. I feel you. In the text, in the comments, type it. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Because when you talk to me, Diana, and you're having these conversations, I totally, as a woman, I totally, as a woman, can relate. I can relate to being hurt. I can relate to the pain. The good thing, though, is like you said, you took that pain and you took those experiences and you bottled them all up into this beautiful work. You guys have got to go and check out her book. Once again, it's on Amazon, and it is available for purchase. And you guys, all you got to do is go and look up her name. I've put everything in the comments. But if I type her name in, or I type Diana Tyler in the search engine on Amazon, I think I might put one of the words from her book, like Facebook, and it pops right up. But I've included the link so that you don't even have to look for it. Finding God and Wisdom in Social Media, Facebook lessons about God and life. You guys have got to go there and check it out. I want you to, oh yes, I see. I want to check the comments out now, Diana. I see that Karen Rose, she says, I feel you. Karen Sherman, I feel you. Guys, you are blessing my soul. Yes. Karen says, so true. Good word, my sister. Very good, guys. I'm so glad that you guys are. Thank you, Amanda, for listening in and just being an encouragement. You got women listening to you as they're on the move, Diana. They're on the move, taking care of business like we do as women. But they got their ear tuned into what you're saying, girl. So somebody heard that today about that testimony. Your past is not who you are today. It's
Amen to
definitely
that.
is not who you are today. Now, I have put all the links that I have in the comments. I'm going to post them again in the group for ladies to go back and look at. But Diana, I want to wrap it up with you being the last voice beyond my saying goodbye. I want to wrap it up with you, leaving us with anything else you want to share regarding the book or regarding us. If you really could speak to the fact that the importance of our words, what we say, how they impact us as women. If you could just speak to that as we close out.
Okay. Well, the biggest thing is to remember Proverbs 18:21, where it says, "Life and death are found in the power of the tongue, and we will eat of this fruit." And something to remember is once a word is out, you can't take it back. So you got to be very, very careful with what you say to people and what you say to yourself as well. And also, in regards to my past, God has definitely done a huge work in me. I will say that yes, when you are even after you are healed, I mean, yes, you will still deal with the memories, and there's still gonna be days where yes, your flesh is gonna come up
Yeah.
and whatnot. It is still going to happen because, I mean, it's been many years. I still have my days, but God has brought me through a lot. And the truth is, today, it sounds crazy, but I actually praise God that all of that stuff happened from birth up to now because, if that stuff hadn't happened, this book here, and I'm going to go ahead and hold it up, this book would not be born. It would not have been born. And all of the Facebook posts and the videos on Instagram, it would not have been born. It's all born out of things designed to destroy me because all that stuff, it could have killed me physically, emotionally, in every way, shape, and form. But God turned it around for good. And you know what? As far as words go, something else to remember too is if anybody has ever said bad words over you or you spoke over yourself, you got to renounce those words, break it off,
Yeah. I
and
love it.
and
Go ahead.
then that's it.
Girl, you said it. You nailed it. Because listen, death and life is in the power of the tongue. We have to be careful what we're speaking. We have to be careful about who we're speaking it over, especially our loved ones, friends, family members. We want to be careful with that. Not only that, I love what you just said. What has been spoken over me? I need to break that. It's not, if it's not God, then it's not good. And so I'm going to release that thing and I'm going to walk in the knowledge and the truth of God's word. What does God's word say about me as his daughter? What does his word say about me? And so I'm going to fill myself with that and speak those things. I think in this time that we're in right now, it is so critical because you've got people, suicide is running rampant. You've got
Yeah.
people, jumping out of buildings and just doing crazy things. And my heart goes to that. Now that is in conjunction with people just losing family members due to the pandemic or just illnesses. It is so much going on. We have got to remember that we have to. I love that. I see that someone says you have been washed clean by the blood of Jesus. It's true. Thank you, Karen Sherman. It's absolutely true. We've got to be careful and take a stand today over those darkness, those dark clouds that try to embrace us and come and hover. We don't want that. And so whenever I see something great and wonderful that's happening in the life of one of my sister girls, I am going to celebrate her. I am going to shout to the high heavens and rejoice with her. Guess what? The Bible even talks about that we should be compassionate in that way. When we got people who are grieving, that we grieve alongside them. We sit and hold their hand. When they're rejoicing, we rejoice with them. And Diana, today, this sister girl is rejoicing with you. I'm so proud of you. Not just because you took the advice in the coaching group that we had about the writing course, not just that you took the advice of those in that group and did it. I mean, you took the advice, you took the tools that were given to you, and bam, you just did it. I'm just excited, guys, that Diana has taken a leap of faith. This is her first book. I'm so excited for her. Now, I know you hear a lot about books from me, but this is something that's really real. If you want to grow, you gotta sow. Come on, y'all. If you want to grow, you got to sow. And so I'm encouraging you, sow a seed to encourage your sister girl by getting the book and give it away to an listen, Mother's Day is coming up. Give it to someone. You know somebody who has been hurt by harmful words on Facebook, or someone who has been exposed in a way they didn't want to be on Facebook or any social media platform. And they may need this to encourage them to see that they're not alone. A lot of times when we're going through, we feel like we're the only ones in the boat, but it's not true. You're not alone. Someone is either just coming in to row with you, someone has been there all along, but you just been so caught up in yourself you don't see them, or someone is coming out of it and they really want to pull you with them. So listen, you got to start looking around for what do we have in common as women. We understand what it means to travail in pain, but we also understand that when we come out on the other side, just like with childbirth, labor is no fun. But when we have the
No.
fruit, oh, it's not. But when that fruit is in our hands, it's a beautiful thing. And Diana, I'm so blessed that you are here and you are sharing your heart the way that you have. How transparent you were today. I'm so grateful to you for that. Can you tell us how to keep in touch with you? How do you want viewers to keep in touch with you?
Well, I'm here on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. And let's see. Well, I guess as far as like phone calls and stuff, I mean, just just contact me, private message if you want
Yeah.
my phone number or my
Okay.
email. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, when it comes to phone calls, it's actually better to text me because I work Monday through Friday full time,
Yeah.
and I can't have and because of the nature of my job, I can't
Sure.
have my phone on me. Yeah,
Sure.
it's
I
like, well,
get it.
I can't have my phone on me in the lab when I'm up front, I can to an extent, but unless it's a full-fledged emergency, I can't be on there.
Sure, I understand. So guys, you can private message her via Facebook or IG. You can also go to the links that I've posted in the actual comment section, and you'll be able to find the Amazon link, her Facebook link, and her IG link. So you'll be able to reach out to her. If you have something that's heavy on your heart, a testimony or something you've been through, and you want to just say thank you to Diana, I think it's important that we do that. If you missed it at the beginning, I made a comment that Joyce Meyer had said. If you're thinking it in your head that the sister's got it together and she's really good at what she's doing, that she's overcome, and you're just, wanting to give her a compliment today. Your hair look good. Hey girl, your shoes look good. Whatever that compliment, that good thing is you want to tell her, she can't read your mind. You're going to need to open your mouth and tell her. So if you enjoyed this time today of praise, I call it a moment to put the problem down and let's praise together. I want you to send her a message and thank her. Thank her for being so transparent. And thank her by going and getting that wonderful book and giving it to another sister friend. Mother's Day is coming up. We have a lot of holidays coming up. Or if it's just a birthday present for someone, I think they'll really be blessed. Once again, I am Jacqueline with Women in Need of Empowerment. And we are here to educate, equip, and empower you to grow in the direction of the promise. That's exactly what our sister girl Diana is doing. Diana, it's been beautiful to share with you. Please go to the Facebook group and post some comments and share with some of the women who you may get feedback from, okay?
All right.
Thank you for
Will
taking
do.
time in your day to share with us. I love you, my sister. I'm sure you and I will be talking and doing more things together and going in the future going forward.
Yeah, love you too. It's good
Bye-bye.
seeing you. All right. Bye.